Good morning, new 2022 Maine Thunder families. Just want to kind of send out a little bit of a note to all of you regarding upcoming things for this year. Super exciting time of the year. We get a chance to kind of with roughly 25 travel teams for next spring and summertime. Lots of moving parts. Kind of recap right now what we have going on. We're in fall ball mode. We've got a 12U team out competing, and we've got kids kind of in a culmination of 3 to 4 different 12U teams. We have 3 14U teams that are out competing in tournaments that will finish up in the next 2 weeks, 2 weekends around New England. Same type of deal. All those teams are all kind of a culmination of kids that want to kind of come together and play during the fall time. And then we have at the 16, 18-year-old level, that combined level, we've got 2 big groups messing around in the fall time as well. We have what we call the tournament team that's going around. It's played probably, at this point, I think about 24 games or so, but they have 2 to 3 more weekends left of games or tournaments. And then we have our Sunday only group that's just had the last weekend off, but we're now getting into the last few Sundays for them as they finish up at the end of the month on Halloween Day. But after that, it's everyone seems to kind of come on inside and get after indoor training. It's one of those things we've been fortunate enough to do for the last 15, 16 seasons in being here at the Edge Academy, where we have 5 batting tunnels, 3 long cages that we do live pitching in, defensive work, as well as our skill development things inside here. But we're also attached to the big dome in the smaller dome that we just walk through a door and we're able to kind of go get our workouts in offensively, defensively, and in game situations. So we're excited to start that process up the first weekend of November, which would be November 6th and 7th. For that practice schedule, it is online. Continue to kind of go to and make it part of your weekly routine of going to the Edge Maine website, go under Maine Thunder, click on important information, and you'll see some documents, some quick info for you right there. I usually try to go there and update like our weekly practice schedule. Will go on there. Our coaches typically get that every Tuesday to Wednesday of the week and go that way with it. But that's an important one for you. So for everyone, real quick, the important part, admin-wise, everyone that is participating should have a photocopy of a birth certificate, the medical waiver form filled out, signed and returned to us to participate moving forward. I know many of you have done that, but as you can imagine, with having over 300 kids involved into the program, all of that paperwork is kind of being divided up into the different ages and then the different teams in those ages. And again, with our organization, we do with unbelievable coaches doing a great job at getting all that paperwork stuff on the side, so then we can just get right into game scenario stuff. A few things real quick as we kind of start off that I want to chit chat with you about. Organizationally, what is our philosophy when it comes time for Maine Thunder softball? I've always kind of gone on to what I say is the acronym ELM: effort, learning, and mistakes. Effort. We want our players, they are responsible to give 100% effort in everything that they do, every time that they walk through the door, come to practices, in anything, whether it's, we're trying to teach them life skills here for these girls, and we want to try to use this softball platform to help be able to create that. So effort is one thing that we're big on, and if there's times that we see players that their effort isn't what we think should be, or is there 100%, that we will absolutely call them out on it and coach them up in that scenario, because that's one thing that players can go do is control their effort. Learning, we always talk about, this game is an unbelievable game, but at the end of the day, we're constantly learning, constantly trying to pick something up. And for many of our younger players, their sponge is much bigger than the older players, where hey, they've got a little bit more experience to be able to where some of those learning moments might be a little bit more minuscule and minute in what they have to be able to do. So certainly we always want to try to go with that open mind to go learn something, whether that may be a new position. I play for my school team and I'm a shortstop, and now coach has me playing some second base, or maybe I've always played in the infield and now I'm trying to play the outfield a little bit. We want to try to make that whole-rounded, well softball player. So we're always consistently trying to learn. That's the message that we have for our players. Our coaches go with that same mindset that we walk in, we don't know everything, and we know quite a bit, but we're always throwing things off each other and trying to find better ways to, communicate with players and break down a skill and then be able to have a more efficient, whether it's practice or be able to help that player obtain a goal. Mistakes, and I go back to, I think the game of softball is unbelievable. I'll use the hitting aspect where we know we fail more than we're successful, is we want to make mistakes but learn from them. We don't want to give mistakes too much power where it takes over our mindset and we lose what we want to be able to do. We want to get in a scenario where it's like, hey, let's go, we make a mistake, we dust it off, and we move forward and we learn from it. So that's kind of our big acronym that we try to kind of adhere to as we go through. And there's times too that coaches, we could be in a game situation and we'll take a good learning moment for a player to go play a position that might not be their primary or secondary position, but know that, at the end we might be playing in a, let's just say it was a semifinal of a tournament, and all of a sudden you're like, well, how do, defensively, how did we get that kid in the game? Well, we got in because she needs to be in the game. She needs to be on the field playing, and she needs to be able to go learn. So at the end of the day, I look at it, we'll have some fun with our players getting into those situations constantly. We will make mistakes more, obviously, in November and December, because many of us haven't done anything for a little while, but now getting into the scenario that, hey, hopefully we're just minimizing those mistakes as we move through. A few things that I really want to try to kind of stress upon as we get into the new year. Here at the Edge Academy, we're fortunate enough to be working with the Maine Lightning travel baseball program, and through extensive kind of talks with the ownership group and all of our people involved, we want to get in a situation where we're staying consistent across the board. We have many families that are on the Maine Thunder side that are in that Maine Lightning side as well. As we get into our winter workout season, we're still in a time where COVID is playing some tricks on us right now. Certainly not to the degree that it was last year, but certainly, it's something that we have to adhere to, not just from the CDC standpoint, but City of Portland when we're messing around. Parents, when it comes time for your player to come to practice, we're going to have what we're going to call the drop-off mentality, where you drop your player off, they come into their respective spot to where they start their practice and go from there. Now, parents, I'm not going to tell you, we were trying to want to minimize the amount of traffic that is inside the training center at our practices, because God forbid if we did have a situation where someone was COVID positive, then with having really more bodies inside the facility that we can't account for, then it runs into a little bit of a messy situation. We want to try to negate that as much as possible. So we will have a drop-off policy. Parents, obviously, you're more than welcome to come on in at the beginning of a practice or the end of a practice to go and go to the front desk and maybe make your monthly tuition payments, things like that. So you can certainly come in and do that. Some of our parents and players, I know they're traveling from further away. You need to come in and use the bathroom. You can come in and do that. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be lingering around and hanging out and watching practice. As much as I love, and last year was a big one, I love parents being involved in watching practices, so they can actually see with their eyes, like, wow, there's some cool things going on, and these guys do some things that are a little bit different that I've been exposed to in the past. But at the end of the day, we really want to keep the safety of not just the players, but everybody, coaches, other staff members, in the back of our mind as we make that decision. So please adhere to that drop-off policy as we're coming on in. Another one, as we start up our winter training program in November, which, for the 10s, the 12s, and even some of the 14-year-old teens, we'll go all the way through April school vacation week with practice-wise. Obviously, our upper-level 14-year-old teams, 16s and 18s, those players will winter train all the way up until the start of your high school season. Once you get into your high school season, that is going to be your priority. You'll be in high school mode, probably with your respective schools going, 5 to 6. Some schools are going 6 days a week, and we like to get out and watch and support you guys in that process. But at the end of the day, our younger teams will go a little bit longer through the April school vacation week up until that point, and then hopefully the weather cuts and we're outside and messing around and getting after it a little bit. But certainly as we go through this process, lots of, when I think about adding up those weeks, I think it was a total of like 20 weeks that we're working out. We do have a couple weeks inside the dome spaces that we lose in February, March, because of there's some big shows that have typically gone on in the past. I'd imagine they're going to go on again this year. We're just waiting for those blackout dates from the dome ownership to tell us what those dates are. But there was like a camping show, RV show, and a boat show were the three big ones. So keep that in the back of mind. We may lose the big dome space, but we will still practice inside the Edge Academy on that weekend. It just may be for a little bit of a shorter time and things like that. Also, we've during the winter time, we've built some great relationships with some outside organizations that sometimes where we may go and travel to go play at another indoor facility on a Saturday or a Sunday to go mix in scrimmage games, scenario stuff with your respective teams. By this point, you probably all have heard from your coaches from your teams, and I think they've all reached out to you. One of the things that they're going to start kind of communicating with you on is Game Changer Team Manager is the app that we use for kind of communication within your team and your group. So make sure that you guys are on that Game Changer Team Manager app to check in and make sure that you guys are all squared away there. With that being said, you have that app that is, if a weekend schedule gets tweaked by a half hour, an hour start time, that's the major lines of communication that your coaches would use to go communicate with you. Also, I'll go back and use the Edge Academy's website under Main Thunder, important information. The weekly practice schedule will be posted there as well for you to always go in, double check. If you haven't heard from a coach and just wanted to double check, those sort of things are there for you. Our players, when it comes time for practices, they'll be issued 2 practice shirts. I think this year we're going with a navy blue shirt and then a silver color shirt. Our players are required to wear softball pants when they come to practice. I don't care about colors and things like that. I'll let those respective teams kind of facilitate. But typical colors that we use is going to be a white pant, a navy blue pant, and then for many of the kids that were in the program last year, the fancy Carolina blue pant that was part of our uniform package last year. The other one that we'll look at is I think a dark gray, like a charcoal style colored pant is another one that we've used in the past. So have that communication with your coaches on pant wise. But every kid will be issued 2 practice jerseys, and that practice jersey will have the assigned number on the back for that player with the group that they're in. Other than that, I think we get into a pretty good scenario where as we move into the wintertime, we'll have our next season's package, our uniform package, that will be ready for you guys to purchase online. This year we're right now working with the New Balance company, so it'll be very similar to what we've done in the past, where there'll be 2-color game jerseys, there'll be a sublimated game pant, and then as well as the sock belt combo. We try to kind of really think about that aspect of the additional cost for the uniform, and we really price it at a pretty good range where the type of material and quality of the uniform and for the things that you're getting is an unbelievable value. We've always been around that 150 to 150 mark, but like I said, there might be a couple add-on things that get thrown in there this year. But that's one of those things that we will have samples for all the players to go try, to make sure that they're ordering the correct jersey for their uniform. Again, I say that. I mean, some players I know in the past have gone in and kind of clicked on a button that said, "Hey, I'm an adult small or women's small," and next thing you know, you get into a scenario where you got you needed a medium, and now after that jersey, which is a sublimated jersey, this isn't a jersey that just comes overnight in 3 days, 4 days. This takes multiple weeks to go get the jersey. That additional cost to get the new jersey would be on you guys to go take care of. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All the samples will be in here before we have to go order online, so all players will have the opportunity to go try on game pants, try on a game shirt, and if parents at that point, you are more than welcome when we get to that point of physically coming into the training center and making sure that your kid has tried on their stuff and fits to the appropriate size that you guys want to go order. We try to do that on the later side, but at the end of the day, we don't want to do it too early, because we know some of our players at different ages, bodies are changing, left and right. And I'll speak for my kiddo, who I've got a 13-year-old daughter that is a first-year 14-year-old player now. I think she's grown probably 3 inches since the end of the summertime. She's, we got to get her. I feel like I got to get her new shoes every other week. So we will kind of push it out and try to predict what size we need to be able to do. Some other logistical things that kind of come into play that I want you to think a little bit about. We talked about the paperwork. Got to have a photocopy birth certificate of every single player. Got to have the medical form filled out. Any payments that you make by a check, make those out to the Edge Academy. Does not get made out to Maine Thunder. It's made out to the Edge Academy. Just on the bottom of your check in the left-hand corner, if you could write down your player's name, the team and the age group that she's with, would be greatly appreciated. We say that because nowadays I think we have some players with a different last name than mom or dad's. So trying to kind of piece some payments together, just want to make sure that everything is done appropriately on that aspect. And website, like I said, go to Edge Sports Maine under Maine Thunder for the important information, is where you can see some great stuff. The one question I get all the time is being part of the Thunder, family is now like the Edge Academy. You're a member of the Edge Academy. So if you ever choose to go do any individual lessons, we run hitting classes, catching classes, pitching classes, Big 3 programs, all kinds of fun stuff. Once you get into the Maine Thunder umbrella, now you're a member, you would pay member pricing on different programs. One of the caveats that we've had in years past, pre-COVID, would be open facility policy, where you can come on in and use a batting cage maybe during the week. You're more than welcome to do those things. I would ask you, it has to be done on the day of that you want to come on in. Once we get into November and the fall seasons are done and over with on our outside activity, that's when we'll start to be inside the training center 7 days a week. So for that standpoint, everyone has my email address and my cell phone numbers right on the website. If you want to come in at 4 o'clock later today, send me an email, send me a text first thing in the morning, and I can pull the schedule up and we can block a cage off for you. I think hopefully when we get to the new year, we can just we can open it up where you would go in and you could book your own cage through the eSoft booking, the scheduling system. So we'd be able to go do that. But that was disabled, with COVID and all the restrictions right now, because we had a limited number of people that could be in the facility at one time through the City of Portland standpoint. But just keep that in the back of your mind. Always feel free to reach out to me, and I can pull the schedule up quite easily and have that conversation. Say, hey, yep, 3 o'clock works well. But keep in the back of your mind, January, February, March is the 3 craziest, busiest months inside the training center. So if you get to a standpoint where you're like, I want to come in at 6 o'clock at night, depends on the week, that might be a little bit more difficult, but maybe a little bit earlier and a little bit later, and having as many cages as we do, that's always an opportunity to come on in. So, but other than that, I think when we get into an expectation, we use that open facility policy because of sometimes we have that expectation because we have multiple sport players that are playing in the wintertime, or you have families that just, they do a weekend getaway and can't be at a practice one day. And practices, as much as we love every single kid to attend every single practice, sometimes it's not practical. But at the end of the day, it's not mandatory that you have to be at practice. There's no penalty if you miss a practice. The one thing I would require that is you're communicating with your coaches prior to practice day and say, hey, we're here this week, we're not here this week. And you'll see on the Game Changer Team Manager, there's an RSVP option for you on every single practice to say, yes, I'm in, no, I'm not, whether I'm attending or not. So communicate those things with your coach, and they'll have an idea so that we can practice plan to how many kids of the said team are going to be at that practice on that day. But if you're not able to make a practice, not that big of a deal. And you look at your week and you're like, Tuesdays, I typically don't have a lot of homework on Tuesdays. We get out of work early, we're just kind of hanging out. Maybe that's a day that you can mix in and get into the training center and go work out on your own. So keep that in the back of your mind as you go through the winter time, that's an option for you. Because inside the training center, it's beside the hitting cages. You're more than welcome to do whatever you like in here. Not every batting cage has a machine, like a one-wheel machine that you can go hit off of. If those are things you absolutely need to come in when you're in, then you have to specifically ask for it because there's only certain cages that have those machines in it. If you're a pitcher and you're like, I want to have a long tunnel so I can do some pitching, and I need to do some long toss or arm care stuff, certainly you'll see that you got to make a note that, hey, this is what we're looking to do tonight when we come on in, so we can put you in the most appropriate spot. I say that the short cages, the short cages from wall to back of cage is 50 feet, but from a pitching standpoint, you're 43 feet for the older girls it is tight, so you don't have a lot of wiggle room on the back side and front side to it. So to me, I would look at it like you might be better off using the longer cage in that scenario. If you're an infielder, defensive player, and you wanted a longer cage, we have a couple 70-foot cages in here. You're more than welcome to utilize that space how you see fit, because you can still get some ground ball work within that 70-foot cage to work on your game, or just to play catch with as well. The other one I had for you, continue to communicate with your coaches on practice and things like that, but at the end of the day, I think we'll be in pretty good shape to move forward. If at any point anyone has any questions or something, feel free to reach out at any point. Number one, I would say use your coach as your primary source, but if a coach can't help you out or doesn't know the answer, coaches are usually pretty good at kind of contacting me and saying, hey, I had a player or a parent that asked me this, I didn't know how to handle it. Certainly you can reach out to me as well. As we get into more of next summer, that's another conversation, and we'll have another one of these videos and meetings on, but I give all the coaches their own little freedom to go play with, but there's some routine things that we believe in. If we have, typically for us, everything is a tournament-based style play. tournament based, so where it's like, we pay a big fee up front to go play, whether it's a 3-game minimum, 4-game minimums, and some tournaments can be 5 or even up to 6 games. When you get into those, there's pool play games, there's elimination games. So obviously, when you get into the tournaments and you're in elimination day, typically Sunday, the more you win, the more opportunity there is to play. But at the same standpoint, we want to develop. So we really try to kind of get into, we try to get every single kid into a game at some point. Now, what that player's role is in that certain that weekend to go play, that's up to coaches and you guys to go figure out. And I say that through all this hard work that the kids put in and the development in the off season of getting better. I always tell the players that, you know what, you're going to design your role to where you're going to be on this team. So with that being said, I think it's a wonderful position to say, hey, you know what, I want to try to play some more infield, but I got to go out. When we're doing ground ball work out in the dome, I need to do a better job at just making those plays, because coaches are evaluating all the time. But at the end, I want you to think a little bit about pool play. Where rules are a little bit different. We can hit extra hitters. We can free substitution defensively. So it is a little bit, the rules are a little bit more laid back. But once you get into the elimination play, rules are different. You get into hey, you got to play straight 9 or use DP flex, one or the other. And now you might have 2 players. It's like, oh, I'm courtesy run for the catch this time, and then I can get into the game and play my position defensively. Maybe I'm a flex player where I'm only playing defense, and there's a DP player that's only the offensive player that's hitting for me. So those types of things we have to be thoughtful of, but at the end of the day, we want our kids out there playing and developing. We've done an unbelievable job over, I'll use last year and the years before, of going to tournaments and winning, but our ultimate end game is not to go win every tournament that we're playing in. We want to go play in meaningful games that are competitive, that we get kids in a situation where they can go learn. So I always say that the end result of all the trophies and the awards and plaques and medals, those are all great, but that's a byproduct of all the kids being coachable. They put a lot of time, effort, energy, and hard work into it, and they're able to go, take advantage of that opportunity on that weekend that they get a chance to play. So a couple developmental things, but as we get into that type of play, if you have questions, as a parent or player in that scenario, chit chat with your coach on some stuff, and they can help you out. If you have any issues with your communication with any coaches, certainly you can get me involved. But like I said, I think our coaches do a wonderful job of kind of talking to players and being open enough to have that conversation. The one big thing that I'm going to mention that will not happen is talking about playing time before a game, absolutely not during a game, and then absolutely not after a game. I always, being around this coaching industry for my whole life, since I think I've been out of playing it. I would say that one of the big things is there's all kinds of emotions and things like that come into play, but I usually go with a 24-hour rule. You just get done playing on Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, boom. Monday, late morning, early afternoon, you want to have a conversation, reach out to your coach, send an email, whatever it may be, but certainly not having those conversations before games, during games, and afterward. I say that sometimes, this is a big one. Parents is, we've got a wonderful group of parents that are super supportive on the backside, not just supporting their players, but supporting others within that team and that group that they're in. Just keep that open mind right there. We're not coaching from the sidelines. Let coaches, coach X, Y, and Z, go coach the kids up and go talk to them. So I think it's always where we want to try to coach, but I'm going to use this example for you. As I've been teaching and coaching my whole life. I'm 47 years old, but my kid plays soccer. I don't try to coach her in soccer. I'm just dad that is super supportive to the 13 girls that are on the team and make sure she's having a good time. She's a 14. I think they play 14U. So 8th grade girl that likes to compete out there, and it's like I want to embrace that. But at the end of the day, I'm not coaching her up and telling her she needs to do a better job at like heading the ball or whatever. I know what my role is in that scenario, and I am supportive parent, dad on the outside, which I like to be. So certainly keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward with it. With this organization being as big as we are, and I say big, like at the 10U level, there's 2 to 3 groups of kids. It's about 35 girls working out this winter at that 10U level. At the 12U level, there's probably about 60 girls working out at that level. So 10U, I think we get 2 to 3 teams. 12U, there's 4 to 5 teams. At the 18U level, there is a total of like 7 to 8 teams for next spring and summertime. At the 16U level, there's a blue and a gold team, and then there's a high school prospects group of 2 teams. And at the 18U level, there's 5 teams. And then we've got our 18 plus college kids that will play with us. The one thing I would look at is there's always more opportunity to go play. One of the things that we've done in the past that I'll use last year, I coached the 12U Chiazzo team. So I might have had a weekend where 12U, I'll use the TJB team, was off. And I needed a player for a specific weekend for whatever reason. I might go and say, well, I need a outfielder. What does the 12U TJB have available for outfielders? And I would poke them to see if they had any availability to come in and play either for a day or for the whole weekend. So there's always opportunity to jump on in and get some more reps in game experience. And we do that because even when we practice, we're not practicing just with our team on this whole little island and you just kind of go there and go practice with your team. We are doing it as an organization. So our 12U teams, all 60 of those girls, are working out, I say together at the same time, but 2 of those groups might be, 2.5 of those groups might be inside the Edge Academy, while the other 2.5 teams are out in the small dome. And then after a certain amount of time, they flip-flop with each other. In those 2 teams that are 2.5 teams that are with each other, they could be changed from week to week. But it gives us an opportunity our players to be exposed to all the other wonderful coaches that are within that age group, but as well as it gives us an opportunity to get exposed to all the other players with us. So, if I've got a player, I'll use last year's example again of the 12U player, outfielder, TJB, that came in and played with me. His signs and my signs are the same, so when I ask the player to go do a bunt, she knows, like, oh, it's the same sign. It's nothing like, hey, what are the signs on this team? It's nothing like that. So keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward. There's plenty of opportunity to jump on in. And some of our players, that they might be on a certain team at an age level. Say a 16U player is at an age level where she still has 14U eligibility age-wise. She can bump on down and go play. And we always are open-minded and receptive to trying to take one of our players and bump them up a level to go play as well. Whether that's a 14U player up to 16, a 12U player up to 14, a 10U player to 12U. So things that we're absolutely open-minded to help the development of the kids and those families moving forward. So again, super excited to get going in the next, I think it's 3 weeks now. And if anything comes up, feel free to reach on out. But just want to take a little time and chit-chat with you and go from there. But any questions, talk with your coaches, and then, like I said, you're always more than welcome to reach out to me as well. Sometimes email, it might not be the best way. My cell phone is the easiest way. Call me, send me a text, and sometimes some conversations are much easier over the phone than me getting on the computer, where I'm always not around the computer or my phone to type out an email. Again, for all our returning players, welcome back. For all of our new players families coming on into the organization, welcome aboard, and super excited to get this I'm going to call it the 22 season underway in that first weekend of November when we start up our winter practices. Again, thank you very much. Look forward to getting a chance to see all the kiddos again, and we'll have some fun. but more to come. Thank you.